So, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to access a file directory on my tablet. And as you can see, there's a hacker here at work. Probably upstairs or next door. However, this is a file in which I actually took the video of on March 5th, 2018. And it would have been shortly after 10 o'clock p.m. But what this shows is a screen copy of a hacked timestamp of a video of a police officer, an Arbor police officer, that came to my place of employment, and after giving him instructions not to enter the building, he argued with me about his right to do so, and then ultimately he and two other officers did anyway, one of which is Officer Simazar, that I've had problems with before, who has threatened my life, and I've filed complaints against because of. So this would have been my third interaction with him. Another one is Officer Ford. Why would this video have a hacked timestamp? Because on March 5th, 2018, I had a court date at the 15th District Court. And in arriving at the 15th District Court building, I placed a number of my items in 3 different lockers. And this was between noon and 1 o'clock. And so while I was upstairs meeting with my public defender, someone accessed at least 2 of those lockers and compromised my belongings and stole a device charger of mine, one of 2 that I had. I had pictures of my belongings in these lockers, and then they also compromised one of my medications. I have filed a complaint about that. I will attach it to this video. But also, on that day at that hearing, I was offered a plea deal. There are 3 charges against me. 2 are trespassing on University of Michigan Ann Arbor property. A third one is a complaint that my ex-roommate filed against me for breaking into our shared apartment in which he unlawfully and fraudulently had me evicted from. So I'm confident that I'm innocent. I'm confident that there is not enough evidence to substantiate a conviction beyond a reasonable doubt, and I'm meaning to use these charges and the hearing for these charges to act as evidence for my pursuit of justice against my roommate and the University of Michigan. However, when I got to work, later that night after the hearing on March 5th, 2018, shortly after 9 o'clock, I made a 911 call. The dispatcher put me through to the Ann Arbor Police Department. The Ann Arbor Police officer on the line, his last name started with a D, said that they did not handle matters regarding the public storage downstairs in the 15th District Court building. That is governed and watched over by the Washtenaw County Sheriffs, and that I should come back the next day and talk to them about it, or he would transfer me to Washtenaw County Sheriff Department, which I had him do. Then I spoke to a Washtenaw County Sheriff with the last name L. She wasn't aware that they had Washtenaw County Sheriffs working at the 15th District Court building, which just blew my mind. And then she had me wait online for almost 10 minutes while she confirmed that. And so I hung up the phone with her, which was no longer a 911 call at that point, and decided that I would go to Washtenaw County Department to file a complaint the next day, which I didn't end up doing. I ended up getting hit by a car instead. But beside the point, this all happened on the 5th. And for some reason, these 3 police officers responded to that 911 call that I made, even though it was no longer handled by 911. It was subsequently handled, like I said earlier, by the Ann Arbor Police Department and the Washtenaw County Police Department. Washtenaw County Sheriff Department. But 3 of them showed up, and being that I was the only one working in the building, I was the acting agent, and I told them that they needed to stay at the door. They refused. I recorded 28 seconds of the first responding officer. He used some device to drain the battery in my smartphone that I recorded him on, but the video is still saved and properly timestamped. So then, while interacting with him and the 2 other officers that subsequently came upon the scene at my job, I got my tablet, which is this here, that I'm making this recording on right now. And as soon as I got my tablet out, they stopped harassing me, trying to force me to give them ID to prove that I had permission to be in the building and that I worked there, even though I had a shirt on that had the title of my cleaning company, since I'm a night janitor, or I was anyway, on March 5th, 2018. And so I actually ended up making 4 additional videos immediately after those police officers left, explaining the circumstances and why I thought that they were there to harass me. I've received harassment from Ann Arbor Police Department in various ways before. I've posted those videos on my Facebook account and my YouTube accounts. I believe that they came there to harass me because I was calling 911 to file a complaint about my personal belongings being compromised in the 3 lockers that I use available for public use in the 15th District Court building, which were watched over by the Washtenaw County Sheriffs. And so what has happened, basically, I immediately uploaded those videos to YouTube, my YouTube account, and then my Facebook account. and then I saved copies of them on internal storage and then micro SD cards on both my smartphone, and then I Bluetooth transferred from my smartphone the initial video once I got that phone up and running to my tablet here, which is where I keep most of my files, all of my files actually. And so what's basically had happened is even though after transferring by Bluetooth that file to this tablet with the proper timestamp, someone has, most likely in our police department, gone into my tablet, hacked into my tablet, and they changed this timestamp, which you see here, to March 6, 2018 at 1:51:38. Why would they do that? Well, I met with Detective Fox at Ann Arbor Police Department a few days ago, Monday, March 19th, 2018, after I had another hearing. And I made the complaint. Detective Fox showed me what's called a CAD report, in which it states that a 911 call was placed from my place of employment around 1 o'clock in the morning on the 6th here, as it shows here, of March, and that the police officers responded, and that someone made a complaint to them that they thought that they lost something, which sounds a lot like what I told the police, because I called the 911 number once I got to work shortly after 9 o'clock on March 5th, 2018, because I realized that after leaving the 15th District Court building, going home and taking a nap, and then getting up and going to work, on the way to work, that I was missing my micro SD cards that I had in my wallet inside of my book bag. And so eventually I found them at the bottom of my book bag. So what apparently happened is the Washtenaw County Sheriff that handled my book bag while I was being pat down by another Washtenaw County Sheriff, he must have gone in my wallet and then dropped them in the bottom of my book bag. And so I made the three Ann Arbor police officers aware of this when they showed up. One of which is Officer Simazar, the other one was Officer Ford, and then another one is, I didn't get his name, but he's on the video, the initial video, which has the proper timestamp of March 5th, 2018, at 10-something p.m. And so the reason why someone would go into my tablet and hack and change the timestamps of all this is because, according to Officer Fox, they received a call. I know I'm repeating myself right now. They received a 911 call in which someone just hung up. And so the officer responded to that, and then they met up with someone shortly after 1 o'clock who told them that they thought they lost something. Sounds a lot like me in my circumstances. However, in actuality, I called them 4 hours earlier than 1 o'clock on March 6th. And so if the police show up for a 911 call that was hung up on, then they have authority to enter a dwelling without permission and to investigate a circumstance and to require ID of someone that they have contact with. But in this case, I actually spoke with 911 on March 5th, 2018, around 9-something, who transferred me to an officer of the Ann Arbor Police Department, who in turn transferred me to Washtenaw County Sheriff who put me on hold for too long. So at that point, it was no longer a 911 call. So apparently they responded to that, and they ended up getting there around 10-something, which is what the original timestamp says for the original video that I took of the officer. 10-something on March 5th, 2018. And so in that circumstance, they had no authority to enter the building after I told them that they couldn't, against my wishes. And they had no right to detain me and to coerce me to give them my identification. They didn't get my identification because Officer Simazar changed his tune once he saw that I was pulling out my tablet as a backup recording device from my book bag, and said, "Oh, well, this guy has on gloves, so clearly he works here. So we're just going to leave." But before I pulled out the tablet, they refused to leave unless I give them my ID so that they could confirm if I worked there or not. And they actually searched the premises in the immediate area in which we were all standing. And so what this looks like is the Ann Arbor Police Department and or maybe the Washtenaw County Sheriff are working together or separately, have hacked my device, my tablet here, and my smartphone, have changed the timestamps of the initial videos that I've taken to reflect this date here, March 6, 2018 at 1:51 a.m. to correspond with their 911 report of a 911 call being placed at 1 o'clock. On March 6, 2018. And then being hung up on. And so now it appears as though I have found an actual the screen saved copy of the correct timestamp, which I discovered the day before yesterday with one of the copies that I made of the original video. And naturally I copied it, but now all of a sudden it looks like this app is being